Welcome, welcome, welcome. Bonsoir tout le monde. Bienvenue à notre réunion de conseil de 8 avril 2024. It's a special day. Yeah, my dad hopefully is going to come here. It's his 92nd birthday, and this is his second eclipse. He was 4 months old, living in the plateau area. They didn't call it the plateau back then, when the last eclipse was here. And he was here today in front of City Hall. So hopefully we'll see him later. He says he's going to drop by. Okay, so I have with us here today on my far right, Councillor Leor Azarad, Councillor Andy Schuster, Councillor Oren Sabag, Councillor Mitch Kajowski, Councillor Dita Burku, Councillor Stephen Erdely to my left, and Councillor Mike Cohen. We also have our city manager, Jonathan Schechter. We have Darrell Levine from Communications, which some of you may have met by email. And we have Pascali Tanguay from Legal and City Clerk. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to ask somebody to adopt the agenda. Councillor Cohen. Seconded by Councillor Azarad. All in favor? Thank you. And now we have a couple of
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
We forgot the land acknowledgement.
No, we didn't. We're
We
supposed
didn't?
to adopt the agenda first.
Oh, my
I
apologies.
think, right? Right. Then we do it. Now it's a land acknowledgement and then the rules. We're going to play those for you. Thank you.
Justice, devoir du souvenir, liberté culturelle et inclusion sont des valeurs chères à la ville de Côte Saint-Luc. Nombre de nos résidents et leurs descendants ont construit leur vie ici, après avoir fui des situations difficiles ailleurs. Le Canada a été leur refuge. Mais pour les peuples et les communautés autochtones, les politiques gouvernementales au Canada ont créé des injustices. L'île de Montréal, où nous sommes réunis aujourd'hui, porte un nom beaucoup plus ancien, Shoshagué. C'était un lieu de rassemblement historique pour de nombreuses communautés autochtones. C'était aussi un lieu de diplomatie où a notamment été signé le traité de la Grande Paix de Montréal. Nous remercions la nation Gagnou-Geaga, également connue sous le nom de la nation Mohawk, pour son hospitalité sur un territoire non cédé. Nous devons reconnaître le passé afin d'avancer avec un esprit de collaboration et de réconciliation. Justice, remembrance, cultural freedom and inclusion are important values to the city of Côte Saint-Luc. Many residents and their descendants have made their lives here, having fled dire conditions elsewhere. Canada was their refuge. But for Indigenous peoples and communities, government policies in Canada created injustice. The island of Montreal, where we are meeting today, has a much older name, Shokshage. It was a historic gathering place for many Indigenous communities. It was also the site of diplomacy, including the Great Peace of Montreal. We thank the Gagnou-Gehaga Nation, also known as the Mohawk Nation, for their hospitality on unceded territory. We must acknowledge the past so that we can move forward in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
La ville de Côte Saint-Luc permet aux résidents et aux non-résidents de poser des questions en français et en anglais lors des séances du conseil. Toute personne souhaitant poser une question doit, au début de la séance du conseil, remplir le formulaire à cet effet qui se trouve à l'entrée de la salle du conseil. La période de questions d'une séance du conseil est limitée à 30 minutes, mais elle peut être prolongée sous réserve de l'approbation de la majorité des membres du conseil présent. Compte tenu de cette limite de temps et du souhait de permettre au plus grand nombre possible de personnes de poser des questions, chaque personne dispose de 3 minutes pour poser une question et une question de suivi au maire. Avant de poser une question, chaque personne doit indiquer son nom complet. Après la discussion des points à l'ordre du jour, il y a une deuxième période de questions. Au cours de cette deuxième période de questions, les participants peuvent uniquement poser des questions sur des points à l'ordre du jour. Finalement, personne ne peut utiliser un langage violent, offensant ou irrespectueux lorsqu'il adresse une question au maire. The Côte Saint-Luc City Council allows residents and non-residents to ask questions at its council meetings, in French and English. Every person wishing to ask a question in person must, at the beginning of the council meeting, fill out a question period form, which can be found at the entrance to the council chamber. The question period at a council meeting is limited to 30 minutes, but may be extended, subject to the consent of the majority of members of council present. Given this time limit and given the desire to allow as many questioners as possible to ask questions, every person has 3 minutes to ask one question and one follow-up question to the mayor. Prior to asking a question, every person must state their full name. Following the discussion of the council agenda items, there is a second question period. During the second question period, attendees can only ask questions about items on the council agenda. Finally, no person may use violent, offensive, or disrespectful language when addressing a question to the mayor.
Thank you. I don't think I introduced myself, Mitchell Brownstein. I introduced everybody else. Okay, so we're going to get the question period in 1 second, but before that, I'm going to make a statement, and then we're going to have a moment of silence. Yesterday marked 6 months since the mass terror attack against Israel. Hamas terrorists killed approximately 1,200 people that day, took 240 hostages, and wounded thousands. It was the bloodiest day in Israeli history. It was the bloodiest day for Jews since the Holocaust. One of the many atrocities was the Nova Music Festival. One of those killed was Alex Look, who grew up in Côte Saint-Luc. He was a family friend, same age as my son, my wife and his wife, and father and myself. We were all in prenatal class together, and we knew Alex well. He went to school here and knew a lot of people here. He died on October 7th in 2023, trying to protect the people he was with. His mom was on Zoom with him. It was very, she spoke yesterday at Federation. The city of Côte Saint-Luc will honor the memory of Alex and all those killed by naming the green space between Jewish People's School Bialik School and Beth Chabad, Alexander Look Place. We will also install a plaque explaining the events of October 7th and work with the family and the institutions surrounding the area to conceptualize a meaningful landscape plan for the area. So now, before we start question period, I see there are a lot of people here today. We have to have a moment of silence on that, and then we'll start question period. So a moment of silence, please. Okay, there's a lot of people here. I know everybody has important issues. We have to take things into perspective. So I'd like you all to do your best to understand that we as a council really care about all the residents of Côte Saint-Luc and all their concerns, and we welcome you to our meeting. And we try to do our best. So what we're going to ask you today is, if you're here for the same issue, we'd like to, if possible, if we could have a spokesperson. We would allow up to 3 people to ask a question on the same topic, but it's better if you do have a spokesperson who could summarize your concerns and how you think we can address them as elected officials. And that's on all the various topics that are here today, because there may be several that have multiple people here that wish to speak. So you would probably know best who is your best spokesperson. But I would, if there is somebody that would like to go up forth to speak first on behalf of the issue of hockey, come to the mic and give me your name and address. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Alon Polak, 6600 Wallenberg.
Thank you.
I think I will decline on behalf of the people here for hockey. We submitted questions in advance, so we'll ask them. Had we known before, we could have prepared for that. Thank you.
But you want the questions, okay, because we do usually Daryl, right? So we do first the ones that are people are here, and then we do the ones that are online. So we will be getting to that very shortly. Every question that's been sent in writing will be dealt with very shortly. So
Thank you.
okay, so if your issue is hockey, it's coming up as a question online. So I can, or I may as well do it now. So you didn't submit? Not everybody did.
I did.
You did. So Alan, okay, so your question may get asked before by some of these other questions before you get, because we're gonna deal with it by anybody else. Anyway, is Mo Lieberman here for hockey?
I am, yeah.
Come ahead,
It's
go ahead.
submit, but
Liebman, excuse me. Mo Liebman, please come.
My
up.
friends
So,
call me Mo Liebman or Lieberman.
I'll call you Liebman.
Either one
Or
is
Mo.
fine. Call me Mo, please. Yeah. Okay.
Call me Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And I appreciate what the city of Côte Saint-Luc is doing for the Look family in honor of Alexandre. My question, yes, is related to ice time and skating. Basically, why are non-residents receiving the same or better priority than residents for that in terms of capacity to have an attribute ice time?
I'm not sure what your organization, who's independent, does with respect to residents and non-residents joining your group, because you have the right to decide how you want to deal with that. The city of Côte Saint-Luc gives priority registration for our programming to residents before non-residents. But in terms of what we do is we try to be fair across the board for all our programs, whether it's figure skating, skating, free skate. We try to everybody with the limited resources, we try to do our best to make everybody happy. But we as a council only create the policy. And that is how we function. So our policy is to try your best to make sure that every organization, whether it's hockey, figure skating, or any outside programs that we decide to give some time, get what they need. Now, staff are analyzing the schedule and are going to be coming out with the final schedule in May. All your concerns and all the many emails have been received and are being addressed by staff, and they're going to be doing their best to give you as many hours as they possibly can at the times that you'd like, based on other programs. Whether they're a resident or non-resident, and we do not distinguish between the two. We hope that you move to Côte Saint-Luc if you like our facilities. Everyone is welcome. We're not going to start counting how many residents and non-residents are in each one of our programs. We don't do it. We're not changing that philosophy.
So are you suggesting that Côte Saint-Lucers pay, to upkeep all these facilities in terms of their taxes and all that?
I'm not going to get to that. Yeah, that is our policy. I'm not going to get into it. That is our policy. And we don't distinguish the fact. We don't tell people who come to our parks either, if you're from Côte Saint-Luc or not, use them, or drive on our streets, or go to our stores. Everybody's welcome in Côte Saint-Luc, and we do not distinguish. We're not going to change that policy, even if you pay taxes and they don't. No. Sorry, that's the policy. Yeah, policy. Policy I'll respond to, not specifics. That's for staff. But policy, that is the policy for everything throughout the city, and it will not change.
Oh, so do you know if there's a specific calculation and how they determine which ice time is given
No,
to who?
they do their best based on the limited resources and all the different questions and demands from all the programs.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I think Brian, maybe Bland. Brian Bland. Yeah, you write it twice. The second time it was really clear. It was really clear the second time. Okay.
My late mother wished I was a doctor. I had the handwriting
Go
for
ahead.
it. Anyways, also thank you very much. It's very nice of you guys for the park. That's very, very kind. Same thing, hockey, but different perspective. My wife, Leanne Fransblow, longtime figure skater. I've been a hockey player my whole life. Volunteer dad, coaching, right? And yes, I'm concerned about ice time, but I'm also concerned about the longevity of the hockey program here in Côte Saint-Luc. While I completely hear you loud and clear about policy about ice time, that's sort of a short-term issue. What I'm trying to understand is there any sort of long-term planning to increase facilities to allow for more hockey players, more ice time as the population will increase? And since we do not distinguish between residents and non-residents, is this somewhere in the plan?
Right. Listen, we would love to have another arena. Right now, we did refrigerate the outdoor annex, which gives us some more time. It was an investment. I'm glad we did it. Helps us a bit, but it would be nice to have another arena. We've been, since I've been on council and since Anthony Housefather was the mayor and I was the co-chair with Ruth Kovac on the Aquatic and Community Center, we got some indoor pools. We didn't have those. I mean, the city's always evolving, right? We didn't have that. We only had an outdoor pool. I grew up in Côte Saint-Luc with an outdoor pool, and we managed with the outdoor pool and had to go to the Davis Y or the other Y for my indoor swimming lessons. Now we have an aquatic center, and we have pickleball, and we have it indoors, and we have it outdoors, and we have so yeah. We always want to do more, but right now I'd like to see a nice donor that really loves hockey. Maybe you guys, the hockey players, could find us like 20 million.
But okay, that's fair enough. One thing I will say is I spent many of nights, we're fortunate this year, it wasn't so bad over winter, but I spent many nights outside in the annex, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock night with my 9-year-old son at the time. It's not the most comfortable, especially when it's 3 teams on the ice. And I do recognize that we're trying to do our best to accommodate everyone. That being said, if you look at the population growth over the last 10 years and look at the younger families coming in, moving in, I have to imagine we're doing, like we did for the aquatic center, we built something facilities for these families, which I think was a great move. Part of the reason why I moved from the West Island with my wife here to Côte Saint-Luc. The question is, how are we going to continue to evolve these facilities and still be inclusive to all the people that live here and also be inclusive to all the residents of Montreal that want to experience these facilities?
So I'm going to answer your question because you get a supplemental question and that's it. And then we only do 3 questions on the same topic. So pick your best speaker on hockey for the next one. Okay, so we have a master plan coming up, right? And our master plan, I hope you guys all support it. It's going to be an amazing plan, which is going to hopefully maybe bring as much as 10, 15,000 more residents, taxpayers into our city through condominiums and apartment buildings and the redevelopment of the Carey Square and the Cavendish Mall and Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Center. So with those developments, hopefully we'll be able to do more things, right? Maybe we'll have another arena. Maybe we'll have a satellite recreation facility in the Carey Square. There's all types of possibilities, right? The city's always growing. So we'll do our part, but in the meantime, get us like a donor that's going to help us make that dream a reality as we do our master plan and we build our city. I've been here a long time. No, it's a really long time. I've been working on this council and saw a lot of great changes in the last 35 years. Lots of changes. It happens. Things happen, but we do appreciate if the public can assist us. Next question on hockey.
Thank you.
May it please the council, Mr. Mayor, I'm Daniel Brook, 5696 Edgemore.
Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Mayor Bernstein. Brownstein, sorry. You said Lieberman, I said Bernstein, we're even, right?
No problem. Bernstein, Brownstein. I respond to Michael. A lot of people call me Michael Mitchell. It's all good.
Okay.
It's true.
Don't you agree? And shouldn't the allotment of a facility's use specifically and especially during prime time hours be proportional with how many residents the program has?
No,
Why?
I told you already. That's our policy.
I heard you, I listened, but I didn't understand.
Because the city wants to have a welcome opening policy for everyone, and we cannot calculate. First of all, it's impossible to calculate because we don't even know really how many residents and non-residents are in your programs because we rent the facilities to external organizations like yourself, and we have our own. So it's not even something that we can even calculate. And we don't do it because our policy is to welcome everybody to our parks, our facilities, our programs, and we want them all to move here. And they want them to think this is the greatest place to live, which it is. So you may as well move here.
Do you acknowledge that a city like Westmount already has a policy in place? And if you do acknowledge it, why won't you protect your residents against future residents as opposed to people who already pay taxes?
I already explained that's our policy. We don't feel that you need to be protected against people that aren't residents. We're all people. We're all human beings. We want to be nice to everyone.
So
You don't
feel
need
that-
protection.
So you feel that the mandate of the council is to protect non-residents equal to the residents of Côte Saint-Luc?
All human beings. Yes, all of humanity.
No, that's not my question.
That is, no, but that's my policy. That's our policy. We treat everybody the same.
Okay. Your answer. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now we're going to go on to another topic. So if you're on hockey, please just pass it to the next person. This would be Melody Atkovich. If you're on hockey, pass it to the next person.
Can I ask a question?
Is it still on hockey?
It's somewhat related. I want to know where it says in the agenda that it can only be 3 questions on a certain topic, perhaps.
It's subject to the mayor. There was only 30 minutes, as you heard on the thing, and we're never going to get through it. We're already at how many minutes? So we won't get through it if we don't limit it to, we won't get to other people who have other important issues that tempt the time. And it's in our bylaw, 3 questions.
It's in the bylaw. Maybe you can point it to me after the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, Norman Sabin.
No hockey question. Can I make one comment? I spoke about it the February 12th, 2024 council about the closing of the King David. I just want to make a comment. Maybe Stephen can make a follow-up to that. I got a brochure in the mail from our M&A, Elizabeth Prass. It says Elizabeth Prass, the daughter of Jewish immigrants from Morocco and Latvia, grew up in Côte Saint-Luc with over 15 years of political experience. She has been in M&A for Darcy McGee since October of 2022 and serves as a spokesperson for the official opposition on social services, mental health, people living with a disability or an autism spectrum, as well few months down the road now. Has anybody heard anything about the closure of the King David?
Councillor
Stephen?
Lee may have some news. Go ahead.
So first of all, thank you, Dr. Saban, for coming. So I'll follow up to, I guess, the discussion we had in February. If you recall, you'd brought up a grant from the government. I think at the time I even said I wasn't sure if they were eligible. I did research after the meeting. I spoke to my contact at the King David about it. And I don't have the exact cutoff in front of me. And I was trying to peek on my other screen as you were talking. But basically that grant was designed only for smaller residences. I think the maximum was 30 or something like that. Again, I can, if I had another moment, I could check. The residents at King David had approximately 60, 70 units, so was not eligible for that grant. Now, in terms, I won't speak on behalf of Ms. Prass of our M&A. I mean, the only thing I would say is obviously her role is to advocate for the residents here. She is a member of the opposition, so it's sometimes easier said than done to give her the benefit of the doubt. But just to say, you know, if in a perfect world, if the King David was able to get more grants, because we don't have money for a new arena, we don't have money to support seniors residences either, I hate to say it. So the point is, if there was a grant available and if it had come earlier, then yes, it would have been a possibility. But as I mentioned when we spoke last, and I'll just share one of the things I've been working on is back and forth with the owners of the King David to make sure all the residents are placed appropriately. And that's been my focus over the last few months.
It's too bad because she's the perfect person to pick up the phone and call Christian Dubé and say, hey, you know, like we have a problem here. We need a little bit of geld for the King David. Like maybe you can help us, even though it's not meets the specific of this program. The intent is the government does want to help keep seniors residents open, and it'd be nice for M&A to, you know.
Sure. I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of Elizabeth Prass, but I'm sure she'd be more than happy to speak with you. Have you spoken with her?
Well, it's not to speak to me, it's to speak to the people that are trying to help.
Right, but you're asking a question to Elizabeth Prass. I cannot speak for her, but
I'm
it's,
just
I mean,
saying.
I'll, you know, I
Okay.
think if you have any questions for Elizabeth Prass, you should address them. She has an email, a phone number, and a.
Yeah, I CC'd her on the email that I'd sent before. Does she ever come to the council meetings here? Has anybody ever seen
Not usually,
her? No.
but
Okay.
she has been.
Okay, I'll just change the topic and I'm gonna ask a traffic question. So, because that's probably my favorite topic. So every day, as you know, there's thousands of cars that drive along Cavendish between Kildare and Mackle. And every day we hit red lights at the Avenue and at Mackle. So I just wanted to point out a problem that it should be fixed. At the Avenue, which is right outside here in front of City Hall, the cycle time is 100 seconds. The Avenue gets 35 seconds, and Cavendish gets 65. Sorry, it gets 65 seconds, and that's split 20-20-25, which means that Cavendish South gets 20 seconds to go straight and make a left turn. Cavendish North has to wait, and then Cavendish North and Cavendish South both go straight. And then Cavendish North gets a left turn and can go straight. Now the library closes at, is it 9 o'clock?
Mostly.
And the City Hall here closes around 6 o'clock. So, you know, in the evening, there's nobody making a left turn from Cavendish South really onto into the City Hall area. And somebody put up a sensor there a few years ago so that if there's nobody who wants to make a left turn from Cavendish South into the City Hall, that time would go to Cavendish North so they can get going 20 seconds earlier. That sensor hasn't been working for, I don't know, it's been months and months and months. It's too bad because a lot of drivers, therefore, they get a red light at the avenue and then that delayed going towards Mackle. And from the environmental point of view, it's a great thing too. I mean, you can speed things up and cut down on emissions. So I'm just wondering why the sensor
An
being
update.
right
The
here.
chair of the traffic committee, you have an update on that? You know,
I don't, but I'll inquire with the department.
okay.
At the
I
same
don't know about
time-
thousands and thousands of cars between Mackle and Kildare on Cavendish, but
But that
we
is
can
not,
look at volume numbers and we
But
can
there's a
determine
lot.
whether
the
or not it
issue,
makes
the
sense
issue
to
more
replace
is why is
that
the
sensor.
sensor not working? That's the question.
Yeah,
So we'll
yeah.
look into finding out when that sensor worked and when it stopped and why.
Yeah, and it's the same thing at Kildare. There's a sensor for the left turn and it's not working either. So Cavendish North waits an extra 20 seconds to get going and it's a lot of pollution. I mean, there's lots of cars waiting to get going heading.
So
north,
let's take note of that in the minutes, please, to follow up on those two sensors.
Right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can put your name down. I'll call you perhaps, because there's not that many left and we're moving quickly. Sarah Ben Simon. If it's not on a different topic, and Vicky, I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name.
No chance, no chance.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to, my name is Vicky Schiff. I live on 5791 Ilan Ramon. I just want to, I'm sorry, your name is? Norman, I'm sorry. I mean, people that live on Ilan Ramon and the building behind it actually do use a lot the turn to get into, the path of the city hall. So even though the city hall is closed, I know that many people do use that light.
We're having a debate. Okay, you can speak to them afterwards.
never mind.
And maybe, but we will look into it. That's
Never mind.
interesting as a through road. Okay, but anyway, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I would like I have a question about the snow removal. I mean, I feel bad to say that it's getting worse and worse every year. I live on a corner lot and many times they just butcher the grass as they clean. I put the sticks and nevertheless, this year was all over Côte Saint-Luc. I don't know how much you take a walk actually in the city. The first snowfall, not only that, I'm inviting you to stop by
You can come to my
5791
house. You
and
don't have to
sit
go to
with
your
own
house. You can
eyes.
come to mine. I live on Mackle.
Huge pieces of grass were removed, and not only at the curb, but even in front of the house when it's straight, like they got like,
Really?
it looks like it was done intentionally, like inside towards the house. I mean, with my bare hands, I was picking frozen pieces of my grass that was mixed with snow and tried to build a puzzle to save. I did my
Right,
best,
okay.
but it's
I understand the problem because it happens to
Last-
me on the corner of Mackle and Shalom.
last
On the
Shabbat.
Mackle side.
Last Shabbat, when I was walking, I just looked and I was shocked at how many lawns were destroyed on the corner of La Avenue and Kildare. I mean, on my way to Beth Israel Synagogue, huge pieces of grass. And then
Well,
on Newton, I walked
this-
on
this
Newton in the
isn't-
afternoon.
Okay, so I'll
same
answer
thing.
your question. This is a problem that's been ongoing, not just from this year. It's always been this problem because depending on the type of snow that we have, especially if it's a year like this year with a lot of wet, heavy snow. So they go close to the lawn and like they did on your lawn and mine, they rip it up. But what we do every single year, and we still do that, is we advertise it heavily. It's on our billboards. We send out information in our newsletter to call the number for Public Works to get on the list to have it fixed.
I know,
So you have
and
to
I
do
do.
that and they will come and fix it.
I know, and I do it every year. I know that corner lots has a disadvantage because sometimes it's hard to see, but they do it in spite of the sticks. But this year, please take a look. Newton, it's a straight street. They got huge pieces literally huge pieces. And I don't know if it's a new company, not a new company. This is something that should you should be looked at.
Thank you.
And at the same time, I'm very appreciative for the service. I'm not taking it for granted. I know in the States, the city don't clear the sidewalks, and I would like to thank you for that. But at the same time, maybe there's a way to improve or to change the company or whatever. Thank
Councillor
you.
Italy wants to add to that.
Yeah, I'll just add one point. In Côte Saint-Luc, the majority of the city, the snow removal is done by city workers, by public works employees, but on certain streets, and I'm just looking at the map on my screen here. So Ilan Ramon, for example, is done by a contractor. It's a bit complicated, but some streets are done by contractors, some are by city employees. The way the contractor works is every few years we go to tender. I think this is a newer contractor, I believe. I have to double check, but definitely it's good feedback for us to pass on to this company and make sure they're aware of the issue, and we'll definitely pass that on. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Kajowski.
Yeah, just make sure as well. This happens every year. It's happened to me 2 out of the last 3 years. Make sure you email, take a photo and make sure you email Public Works. It's publicworks@cotesaintluc.org, one word, cotesaintluc.org, Public Works, I should say. Because every year we do those repairs during a very fixed period. I think they're starting this year, first week of May, and it goes through till the end of May. I think it's like 3 or 4 weeks. And you have to get it in, request before May 1st, the deputy mayor just said. So make sure you do that, because if you wait too long, then you won't get it in and it'll have to wait until next year. But they'll do that repair for you 100%.
Okay, so I think that's it for these, and now we have to play the rest of the questions you have for us. Mr. Levine, I think, or who has the questions? We're done with questions that I have for here, and now we have to play the online questions. Okay. I think you read them, no? Shall I read them? Want me to read them? I can play them. I read them. Okay, I have them read out usually, but I'll read them myself, I guess. So I'm anything to do with hockey, I did my best, but I'm gonna have Toby Schulman, which is 6600 Kildare. When I watch programs from home, for example, book reviews, tenant and landlord information, I find that it is often difficult to hear the speakers clearly. I have heard that the sound system could use replacement, and I'm wondering if this is in the budget for the coming year or in the near future. I have some response here. I'm just going to try to summarize it. There have been some technical issues, but we do have a new sound systems, and it should be clear. The location of the library house programs in the multi-purpose room, and staff tell me they should be adding a computer microphone that will make it easier to hear the speaker. So hopefully we'll be able to improve the sound for those who are listening virtually. But we do have new systems. It's just we had some technical difficulties that we're hopefully going to overcome. Okay. So now we have Robbie Miller, and there's 2 questions about hydro. Hello, with all the hydro work going to be done on our street and our neighborhood, and with the firm mandates by the hydro engineers I met last week on the street, our neighborhood would like to know the impact of these power outages from the city. And can we expect notification from the city of Côte Saint-Luc? The Contre-Metro from Hydro said there will be many outages throughout the summer. Given our summer last year, it would be appreciated if we could do the plan from the city. Apparently the permits are given out by the city. So no, the city permits are not given out by the city, and the communication doesn't come from the city. The communication comes from Hydro, and they do send out texts. They have everybody's texts. They send out texts to the various homes, and they make sure to communicate. When something does happen and they make a mistake, or in our opinion, they do something that is going to be inconvenient for the residents, and we hear about it. So we take action, like we did recently before Purim, when they were going to have some hydro work taking place just before the holiday. So we had it moved to a later date based on speaking to Hydro and explaining the sensitivity of the issue to our community. So we did get involved, but the communications come directly from Hydro. We get a general idea that they're doing work in the area, but for specific homes, it changes all the time. Specific streets change all the time, and they communicate directly with those individuals to make sure that they're aware of the problem. Now, listen, if you have a issue that you don't feel you can handle directly with hydro, like the issue at Porham, certainly come to the city and we'll do our best to be your spokespeople, but you have direct communication with them. They leave you a letter with a phone number, they send you a text. There's a direct communication with them, and you're supposed to follow up with them if you have issues with the information that you receive from them. If you need our help, sure, let us know. So it's another similar question from Elliot Levine at 5614 Hartwell, and the response is the same. So his is let's see, is there anything different? I want to see if there's anything different. What is the timetable for Hydro-Quebec for closing electricity in my area? Where is the location of the work to be done? What is the scope of the work to be done? Can the work be done during the evening instead of during the day? So these are, once again, all questions for Hydro because they only know the answers. I don't. Okay. Anybody else to add? Any other questions? No. So now we're going to move to the next item. So the next item on the agenda, yeah, go ahead. Alo, welcome.
Yes. I had submitted a question, but I understand there's.
Okay, the
No,
one that,
And it's okay.
because I
I'll come back
thought I
next month.
answered it.
No,
I
it's
thought I
okay.
answered it. I can read it. It's sort of the same, but I'll
No,
read it.
don't worry about it. I want to ask a non-hockey question. I
Oh,
just.
a
thought-
non-hockey one.
Yeah.
But, oh, sure, but the hockey one, I thought I answered.
No, that's okay. I'll
Okay,
come back
The
next month.
non-hockey one, go ahead.
All right. So first of all, actually, I want to thank you all for the work you do, and Mitch in particular, and Daryl for responding to my emails. Thank you. Just two things, the policy that you referred to, is it like a written policy or a rec department directive or something that I could see?
No, what's that? No,
No.
the policy on treating everyone the same is
Yeah.
Mitch Brownstein's policy. You can
Okay.
blame it all on me.
Perfect. I will.
Thank you. You can, no
Okay.
problem. I'm
Um,
ready to take it.
The other thing is, I was actually curious about the collective agreements with the Public Works Department, and I'm just wondering where I could see them, because I assume they're public.
The question is what? On,
Collective agreements with public workers in the city.
right.
If I want to look at the collective agreement, how can I?
Jonathan, that's more of a legal question, or Pascali, or what's the answer on that one? What do you want to do?
So you can definitely, if you gave your email to the city clerk, I mean, we've taken note, if you let your email with the city clerk, she'll get back to you as soon as she can.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
By the next council meeting, you should have an answer for that.
All right.
Yeah.
So, city clerk,
Yeah,
I'll send you an email. Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Councillor Cohen,
I so move that the minutes from the meeting of March 11th, 2024 be approved.
moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any questions? All in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to any business arising from the minutes, any government correspondence. So the departmental reports, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The monthly reports submitted for March 2024 be and are hereby approved as drafted.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion? Who's first? Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just some highlights from the March report for recreation. Spring break was a hit with families who got to enjoy various activities, which included Mad Science, Repti Zoo, Animation Kids, Trenka Circus, in addition to some drop-in activities. Day camp registration, early bird day camp registration started on Tuesday, March 19th, and nearly sold out in less than a week. There are more spots available in the Ultimate Leaders and CIT Counselors in Training programs. Early bird rates are still available, but regular rates kick in as of April 24th. And lastly, Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society tickets for Into the Woods went live online on World Theatre Day, March 27th. There's an excitement building in the local theater scene about the show that weaves together the different Grimm's Brothers fairy tales. Into the Woods will be an immersive theater experience and will be presented at the Harold Greenspan Auditorium, May 16th to June 2nd, and is recommended for ages 9+. Tickets can be purchased at the Côte Saint-Luc at csldramaticsociety.com, or if anyone needs help with online ticket purchases, you can ask at our ACC and library frontline staff, and they're available to help you. Thank you.
Okay, who wants to go next? Go ahead, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll share a few items. I'll start on the finance side. So first, a reminder to residents that the second installment for taxes is due May 23rd. And as always, try to pay your taxes. If you pay your tax online, try to do it a day or two in advance just to make sure there are no late fees. In terms of water filters, we've received 35 claims for water filters for lead. So I encourage residents who have a home that was built in a time period where lead may have been used for the lead service line to please continue purchasing the lead filters. There's different certifications. You can see the information on our website. I have a filter myself just in case, and it's important to keep the water safe for your children and families. I'll talk a bit about the local side. In District 4, a few exciting items coming up for the parks in the district. So first, as I previously mentioned, the water pipes for the splash pad at Schwartz Park are being renovated. The renovation started in the fall, will continue in the spring, and the goal is to get it all up and running before the summertime. For Laurel Park, there'll be a new piece of equipment that also should be coming in the spring. And for Fletcher Park, this is one that was requested many times. Fletcher Park will be getting a bathroom. So it's one that has been long awaited. It'll probably come a bit later in the season, but I'm looking forward to it. I know it's definitely a benefit. Fletcher Park is probably the most used park per square foot or square meter of any park in the city of Côte Saint-Luc. On the environmental side, reminder, April 18th to 22nd is the spring cleaning at Public Works. I know I have some stuff in my house that I'll be coming by to drop off. If you have household hazardous waste or electronics, you can bring it to the Public Works. Again, April 18th to 22nd, and check on the city website for the exact times. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. And finally, two more. With regard to the end of year, so these are the end of 2023 compared to end of 22 results for waste collection. Organic waste up 10%. I'm happy about that. Garbage down 2%. So again, this is keeping the trend since we since we started doing organic waste collection about 16 years ago. And recycling is sort of stagnant. So that's something we have to work on improving. And finally, on April 17th is our at 7 p.m. just downstairs in the Harold Greenspan Auditorium is a VCOP recruitment session. So we have we have Susie and Harvey, two of our VCOP volunteers here. If anyone is interested in becoming a volunteer, again, April 17th, 7 p.m. downstairs in the Harold Greenspan Auditorium. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Councillor Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to report on 3 dossiers that I've been working on this month. The first is the City Nature Challenge. There is a challenge across Canada, but in particular in Montreal, being held April 26th to April 29th. It's an app that you can upload. It's actually advertised downstairs on the front door as you come into the building, and it's going to be sent out to all subscribers on the Côte Saint-Luc newsletter. And basically, it's a challenge for kids and for families to find and photograph plants and animals in your backyard and parks, along city streets and schoolyards, anywhere you find nature. You download the app. It's called iNaturalist. You take a photo of the plants and then you upload your observations to the website, and it geolocates it in Côte Saint-Luc and it describes it and just basically puts Côte Saint-Luc on this iNaturalist map. I did it last year. It's a lot of fun. And I hope that you are able to participate this year as well. And that's going to be advertised by City of Côte Saint-Luc, April 26th to April 29th. The second thing is I mentioned last month that I was still looking for volunteers for the Living Lab project. At that time, we had about 8 to 10 volunteers, and now we're up to 20. So I'm very happy. I worked very hard along with the whole team, Tanya Abramovich and Katie Bazaire from the library, and we all worked hard to recruit. And we now have 20 seniors who are participating in this program. And it's basically a program to monitor seniors at home, to make sure that they can live safely and securely. It's a project that's being financed by the provincial government in collaboration. We work in collaboration with the Université de Sherbrooke and other researchers. And hopefully we'll have some good results that will be able to be replicated at a much higher level throughout the city and in other cities as well. So that's part of our smart city movement. And the third file, and it's going to come up tonight, is a bylaw notice of motion. And this is important for safety, security in Côte Saint-Luc. As you know, there have been a lot of very violent and aggressive demonstrations in front of synagogues and in front of, the Federation building, just to name two, like March 4th and then March 5th at the Spanish. So taking a cue from the Federation that has been financing and actively promoting the 50-meter safe setback to prevent violent demonstrations from happening right at the entrance of these institutions that are public institutions. I wouldn't call them just Jewish institutions because we know the library, the Holocaust Center, and the Y, and all these institutions are basically open to the public, but they were targeted. And a lot of the synagogues and schools in our neighborhoods also felt that we needed the same protection. So we've been working to adopt a bylaw, which is going to basically replicate that 50-meter setback that's been set by the Superior Court in now multiple injunctions. I think they're up to their 5th injunction, and over 20 buildings are protected. But now we're going to have a bylaw in Côte Saint-Luc that's going to give a safe setback 50 meters from the schools and the religious institutions in our community. And we hope that that's going to, allow those people to feel better protected in the event of a demonstration. So those are the three things, some of the three things that I've been working on past month.
Very important.
And I hope that it all works out.
Councillor,
Thank
want
you.
to add to that?
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'll speak more to the item when we get to it on the agenda under 10D, but I do want to mention, if I may, one of the lawyers involved in the court case, Daniel Brook, is here.
Mention that, and if you go to my blog, at mikecohen.ca, I have more to say. I got to put my password back into my computer because while I was speaking, my computer went off and I have my notes for what I was just going to tell you. So let me go back there. So I want to thank the library for organizing the tenants group meeting that with Logi Action, the NDG Tenants Rights Group. We, Councillor Burku and I and Mayor Brownstein were there at City Hall, specifically the tenants of Kildare Road and Sir Walter Scott, who experiencing fears of renovation. They got a lot of good information. I will tell you that last week I got a call from some of the residents, seniors, one of the buildings on Kildare, the elevator wasn't working and they were quite upset because some of them couldn't really make it down the stairs. I reached out to Terry Germanis, who's the registered owner, and he responded within an hour that he was going to have it fixed, and he even sent me the work order. So I think that was positive that I got a response from them. And hopefully, I think they've heard us loud and clear on that subject. I want to commend Daryl Levine, Marie, Daryl, her last name, your webmaster is Marie Bazaire, our webmaster, Regine Benon, for the new Côte Saint-Luc website. Please look at it, côtesaintluc.org. It's a magnificent transformation, really much more user-friendly, and I see the difference already. So congratulations for the team. They spent more than a year working on this. Our Merchant of the Month, Councillor Azarad and I were at Caldwell Provisions, where George and the gang were made our Merchant of the Month for March. Well-deserving, great place. It's going to be very busy with its Passover orders. And we'll see who will be the Merchant of the Month for April. But as I repeat every month, this is a great exercise because we don't only give them a plaque and congratulate them and publicize them, but we talk to them and we get feedback on what we might be able to do better for them. I think the last thing I wanted to mention is if you go to my podcast, you could get the link at mikecohen.ca. My podcast today is with former Councillor Glenn J. Nashin, who Councillor Early could repeat is working with Councillor Early on the VCOPs, and they have a recruiting session, I believe, on April 17th, Councillor Early, where they're looking for new VCOPs, volunteer citizens on patrol. But I had a very nostalgic talk with Councillor Nashin, who was a councillor for 25 years, and please listen to the podcast. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Anyone else? That's it for now. Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the Eleanor London Public Library, number 7, Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I so move that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby awards a contract for the purchase of 2 small study group small group study spaces for the library to Obureau for an amount not to exceed $52,644.30 plus applicable taxes. That described expenses shall be financed in whole from the Rosalind Margulies donation that the Treasurer Certificate number 240050 has been issued by the City Treasurer on March 22nd, 2024, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just want to add that the Rosalind Margulies Foundation, we of course named the library after the children's library after her late husband over a year ago, a $500,000 donation. It was the highest donation in the history of Côte Saint-Luc, but I have a feeling that Councillor Azarad is going to, before this mandate, is going to try to surpass that. We'll see. A lot of pressure on our sponsorship guru, it's the gift that keeps on giving, and we are able to have these study pods now thanks to that donation as well.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to item 8. 8A. 8A.
Yeah.
Mr. Schechter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I want to formally table a report that is entitled A Value for Money, Optimization of Resource Audit Report and Summary of Recommendations. It's prepared by Deloitte, who are auditors. This report is commissioned legally as per provincial law. According to the Cities and Towns Act, this report or a report of this nature must be done every 2 years. And so in accordance with the law, we hired the external auditors to do the report, and the report was tabled tonight as per the law, which is what needs to happen. The report is very much an analysis of the inner workings or the operations of a particular department and of a particular activity in the department. The activity chosen in this particular case was in our recreation department, and it dealt with the rentals of certain of its facilities. The report was commissioned for 2022. And since that report has been commissioned, there has already been follow-up, and the report is therefore formally tabled tonight.
Thank you, Maitre Schechter. And now we go on to item 8B, Councillor Italy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the loan bylaws mentioned in the first paragraph of the preamble be financed by bonds in accordance with the following conditions. The bonds, one bond per maturity, will be dated April 22nd, 2024. Interest will be payable semi-annually on April 22nd and October 22nd of each year. The bonds will not be redeemable in advance. However, they may be redeemed with the consent of the holders in accordance with the Act regarding municipal debts and loans. The bonds will be registered in the name of the Canadian Depository for Securities Limited, CDS, and filed with it. CDS will act on behalf of its participants as a register for the book-based system, entry agent, and paying officer in charge of the transactions regarding its members. CDS will proceed with the transfer of funds according to the legal requirements of the bonds, and for that purpose, the Côte Saint-Luc City Council authorizes the city treasurer to sign the documents required by the Canadian banking system entitled Autorisation pour le plan de débit préautorisé destiné aux entreprises. CDS will make payments of the principal and interest to members through electronic fund transfers, and for this purpose, CDS will directly withdraw the required amounts from the following account: Royal Bank of Canada, Cavendish and Kildare branch. That the bond shall be signed by the mayor and the city treasurer. The city of Côte Saint-Luc, as entitled by law, has mandated CDS to act as its fiscal authenticator agent, and the bonds will only become valid once they've been authenticated. That with regard to the annual capital amortization scheduled for 2030 and subsequent years, the future terms of the following loans, bylaw number 2431, 2488, 2498, 2499, be shorter than the one originally set, i.e. for a term of 5 years as of April 22nd, 2024, instead of the term prescribed for the said amortizations, each subsequent issue being for the balance or part of the balance due on the loan.
Moved by Councillor Italy, seconded.
It's just a little typo in the table on page 212 of the digital version, bylaw 2428. I believe was adopted on the same date as 2427, 2429, March 10th, 2014. Just a note, just a.
No, good
tiny
catch.
thing.
Yeah, so it should be 2014, not 2024 for that one.
Moved by Councillor Italy, seconded by Councillor Kujawski.
So I'll just give some background.
Go ahead.
So this is basically refinancing some of our loans, just as, and I actually just went through this just a few weeks ago, just as a homeowner often will get a 25-year mortgage, but every 5 years has to renegotiate and get a new rate. The same is what the city of Côte Saint-Luc is doing. So this is a way for us to refinance or renegotiate. We'll find out April 22nd, so I will give the results at the next council meeting. I know I was not so happy with the rate I got when I refinanced my mortgage, but hopefully the city will do better. I'll just mention, so these are bylaws, some of which go back to 2007. So it includes bylaws for repairs to roof of city buildings, renovations done on the public works yard, roads and sidewalks, the aquatic and community center generator, the pool, upgrading the pool to natural gas heating instead of bunker oil, for those who remember, which is more environmentally friendly, as well as the renovations done to the pool itself. And finally, the city hall HVAC system. So the heating, ventilation, air conditioning are part of these loans that are being renewed. Thank you.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Councillor Cohen in favor. Oh, okay. Carried unanimously. Now we go to item C, Councillor Italy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of March 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2024 for a total amount of $22,384,309.38 in Canadian funds, and that treasurer's certificate number 24-0054 dated April 2nd, 2024, has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Italy, seconded by Councillor Sabat. Any discussion?
So just to mention, this is a larger one. Normally, our disbursements are about $4 million a month. So this one is 22 million. And the largest component is the first payment to the agglomeration, or the first payment also called the Côte Par. So that was about 18.4 million. And then we also have the CMM, which is the Communauté Métropolitaine de Montréal, and some payments for our water maintenance for the city. So those are the larger items. Thank you.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And we move to Human Resources, Councillor Schuster.
Before Councillor Schuster starts, I think Councillor Erdely
Yeah, so-
wanted to make mention of something.
Yeah, so just before it is moved, just to mention that I will be abstaining on this vote and recusing myself due to a pecuniary interest, as my son is on the list of hires as a camp counselor.
Very good. Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of the white-collar auxiliary employees whose names are listed on the document titled Auxiliary Employees, White Collars Hiring, dated March 28th, 2024, and that said employees' terms of employment will be as per the conditions of the collective agreement. That Treasurer's Certificate number 24-0053, dated March 28th, 2024, has been issued by the city treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajewski. Any discussion?
Just a brief explanation that it's a list of day camp counselors, day camp park leaders, and lifeguards.
All in favor? Carried with Councillor Italy abstaining. Okay, so now we move to the next item, 10A, Councillor Burku. Legal Services, adoption of the confidentiality policy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby adopts the confidentiality policy of the city as prepared by the Committee on Access to Information and the Protection of Personal Information.
Moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
Basically, this is the adoption of a policy because we have to protect the confidentiality of personal information collected through technological means such as websites, applications, or connected objects. And it's a requirement of the Act respecting access to documents that we have such a policy to protect this personal information. Thank you.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we go to 10B, Councillor Burku.
Okay. Alors, je vais lire en français. Je pense que c'est en français ici. Attendez une seconde. Oui, OK, d'accord. Alors, autorisation à signer pour et au nom de la ville l'entente intitulée Entente de regroupement de municipalités au sein de l'UMQ relative aux assurances responsabilités pour les parcs de roulis roulants, pistes de BMX et aménagements semblables. Il est résolu que le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc joigne par la présente le regroupement d'achat de l'Union des municipalités de Québec en vue de l'octroi d'un contrat en assurance responsabilité pour les parcs de roulis roulants, pistes de BMX et aménagements semblables situés dans la ville pour la période du 1er juin 2024 au 31 mai 2029. Que le Conseil autorise la greffière à signer pour et au nom de la ville l'entente intitulée Entente de regroupement de municipalités au sein de l'Union des municipalités du Québec relativement à l'achat en commun d'assurance responsabilité pour les parcs de roulis roulants, pistes de BMX et aménagements semblables, soumises et jointes aux présentes pour en faire partie intégrante comme si récité au long. Que selon la loi, la Ville accepte qu'une municipalité qui ne participe pas présentement au regroupement puisse demander en cours de contrat par résolution son adhésion au présent regroupement à la condition que l'UMQ l'autorise et que la municipalité souhaitant se joindre au regroupement s'engage à respecter toutes et chacune des conditions prévues au cahier des charges, aux frais requis par l'UMQ et au contrat d'assurance et au mandat du consultant adjugé en conséquence, et que cette jonction ne devra pas se faire si elle dénature les principaux éléments de l'appel d'offres, du contrat ou du mandat en cause. Merci.
Proposé par le conseiller Burko et appuyé par le conseiller Azarad. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Anything to explain, Dita?
Do you want me? Yeah, maybe I'll just add, thank you, Councilor Burku. I'll just add, this is related to the skate spot. Am I just making sure I'm reading the right one? Yeah, so this is related to the skate spot in Côte Saint-Luc. We have one skate spot at Fletcher Park. So for anyone interested, so even though it's one skate spot, we have to make sure we have the proper insurance because obviously there are children and young adults using bicycles or skateboards, although helmets are required. But just in case we have insurance, and this is done in conjunction with the UMQ that helps cities throughout the province with similar situations, having skate spots. Thank you. Elsie.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you, Councillor Early, while I was plugging in my
Moved
my
and seconded.
computer.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we go to the next one, C. Councilor Burke.
Yes, thank you very much. I was going to lose my battery. Okay, so I'll read this one in French too. Que le Conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc autorise le paiement d'un montant de 4 806,13 taxes applicables incluses pour le renouvellement de son adhésion à la protection des élus municipaux et des hauts fonctionnaires municipaux de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc et pour la couverture d'assurance des frais juridiques liés à la responsabilité pénale découlant d'un accident de travail dans le cadre du programme d'assurance parrainé par l'UMQ et que le certificat du trésorier a été délivré par le trésorier pour attester de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites ci-dessus. Okay, so that's resolved. And this is to cover the
Moved by, seconded by. Councilor Schuster, go ahead.
l'adhésion du renouvellement, the protection of elected officials and high and senior management with regard to the reimbursement of legal fees in the event of a work-related accident. And this insurance is also covered by the UMQ.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and we go to item D, 10D.
Okay, so this is the good one. I just
the
have
table.
to, yeah, but I just have to, okay, I'm going to read the table, but then I'm going to explain. Okay, hang on a second.
Our new amendment to our bylaw.
I do have the updated version, but I'm just going to read the notice of motion first. So I hereby table draft bylaw 2470-4 to be entitled bylaw 2470-4, amending bylaw 2470 entitled bylaw to regulate nuisance in order to and add certain provisions with regard to public safety and good order. And I will, I think that's all I have to read, or do I have to read?
Correct. You, a notice of motion was given last month, and now we're
Okay.
tabling the reading, and then at a subsequent meeting, we can adopt.
Okay, so can I read the where at the?
Absolutely.
Read, explain
Yeah.
any of it. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're welcome to read or explain anything you'd
Okay,
like.
so with regard to this bylaw, as I explained earlier this evening, we were somewhat inspired by the injunctions that have been granted by the courts in the cases of certain religious institutions and also the buildings that are part of what we call the Jewish campus in the city of Montreal because of the very violent and very rowdy nature of the demonstrations that took place in early March. And so now we're up to, as I said before, there's over 20 buildings that are being protected by these injunctions. But we felt that the city at the same time could do its part and impose a safe setback perimeter or a radius, if you wish, of 50 meters, which is what the courts have agreed to in the cases of the injunction. And so we amended our nuisance bylaw to add 2 paragraphs, which basically read as follows. So the first, and this is repeated twice in the new bylaw, which, by the way, we will be adopting on Wednesday at 8 o'clock, because we had to give 48 hours delay between this notice of motion and the adoption. And it will be adopted Wednesday, 8 o'clock. This council will convene for a short meeting to adopt it. So the amendments are as follows. Bylaw 2470 is hereby amended by adding Article 4.5 in Chapter 4 of Bylaw 2470, which reads as follows. Forbids any person or group to demonstrate or protest in such a way that disturbs the peace, public order, or public safety within a radius of 50 meters from the sidewalks of any building in IR, CC, CD, and IN zones as defined by bylaw 2217 zoning regulation of the city of Côte Saint-Luc. And that article is repeated again in another section which deals with the conduct of people in the streets. It is forbidden, again, the same language is used, and that's an amendment to Article 11.3. So we've included it twice, and there is a preamble also to this amendment, which basically recites what we feel are the reasons why we are doing this. Whereas places of worship and education have increasingly been the target of manifestations in the Montreal area and elsewhere in Canada, whereas freedom of religion is protected by the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and by Quebec's Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms, whereas the right to public instruction is guaranteed by the Quebec Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms, and the right to education and educational service by the Education Act, whereas council is of the opinion that citizens who exercise their freedom of religion have the right to do so in complete security and peace, whereas council is of the opinion that the diversity of opinions and convictions warrants mutual tolerance of the respect of others, whereas council is of the opinion that the imposition of a minimal distance from places of worship and from schools for manifestations is necessary and reasonable for ensuring public safety and maintaining public order while respecting the rights and freedoms involved. Further to this, we will adopt the two paragraphs that we're going to include in the bylaw. So for all those reasons, I think it's pretty clear what we're doing. And I think it's reasonable considering what's going on, which I don't have to explain to the public because we're all very, very, very well aware of the situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we've met with Commander of Station 9, Commander Desroches, and with Maître Neil Oberman, who was responsible for those injunctions. We met with our public security officers, and we have a lot of discussions at what is the best way for the police to assist us. And basically, they are the enforcers. So we sort of set up the perimeter. So if we have a bylaw that says we have a perimeter of 50 meters, so we could put up barricades, but then the police would know based on the terms of our bylaw what to do. If there's noise such as loudspeakers making chants outside of an event, we would point the police to our noise bylaw and say that they're disturbing the event that's going on inside the synagogue and they should shut it down. But they rely on us. They rely on us as municipal leaders to direct them to the relevant law that they could then enforce, whether it's ticket, arrest, or just ensure the peaceful enjoyment of the neighborhood. Côte Saint-Luc has been known historically, and so far, God willing, it should continue. Demonstrations haven't come here. We were the city that many will remember in front of our city hall, had a big rally for against the Charter of Values, defending all individuals wearing kippas, hijabs, or the cross to have the right to work in the public sector. And we have many individuals in our community, whether they're from the Muslim, Jewish, or Christian faith, that get along very well in our community. And we want to keep it there and be an example for all communities that we can manage our buildings and our facilities in a peaceful way. And if individuals want to come and demonstrate, they're free to do so, but they have to do it with respecting our bylaws and other laws that say peace and calm and respectful. And unfortunately, that's not been the case on campus and in many other areas. We're going to be dealing with that later on the agenda. We have another resolution dealing with that. But we wish that Côte Saint-Luc should be an example for all communities, that individuals should live in harmony and in peace and respect each other, despite our various beliefs, whether it's religion, sexual orientation, or political belief. We have to all get along. So with that all being said, it's been moved and seconded. Oh, Councillor Erdely wants to add. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, just want to add 1 or 2 points. I won't repeat all those that have been said, but I'll just say just 2, 3 quick points. So first, one of the reasons we came up with this is right now, I would say we were happy that the courts have accepted the injunction and have continued to extend it. But the concern is that one day the judge could decide not to renew the injunction and not to extend it. And the goal is to have a permanent bylaw in place in case that does happen, where the judge does not continue to extend it. The others, we've included 34 locations, including in the IR, CC, CD, and IN zone. So those are institutional, including schools, including synagogues, including hospitals, including commercial establishments as well. I'm not going to list some of the demonstrations that have happened, but we hope there won't be any more. And we hope that this bylaw will put an end to that and continue to make sure our residents feel safe and are safe in the city of Côte Saint-Luc and throughout the island. Thank you.
So that was a tabling, so there's no vote on it. We'll go to the next item. We're good. So that would be public safety. Councillor Sabat.
Be it resolved that the city of Côte Saint-Luc hereby authorizes the following public security employees to sign the verification request forms for volunteers in the public safety volunteer programs: Philippe Chateauvert, Public Safety Director; Jean-Marc Dubois, Public Safety Manager of our Operations; Eddie Afram, Registraire du Centre de Formation; Anthony Takon, Public Security Lieutenant; Una Graham, Public Safety Secretary; Public Safety Secretary.
Moved by Councillor Sabat, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor? Councillor Cohen, in favor, carried unanimously. And then we move to Public Works. Councillor Sabat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the city of Côte Saint-Luc hereby acknowledges, confirms, and ratifies the contract entered into with André Rodrigue Inc. for renovations of the washrooms executed at McDowell Park for a total amount of $26,595 plus applicable taxes. That Treasurer Certificate number 240035 dated February 26, 2024 has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Sabat, seconded by Councillor Burkum. Any discussion? Go ahead.
So I just want to say we're very happy that this is finally happening, because this park, known as McDowell Park on one side and Henry Markovitz Park on the other, was in dire need of a major renovation of the washroom facilities. And although it's a small amount that we're authorizing here, but it's a very big improvement for the residents and for the families that use the park. We're going to have nice, brand new, shiny, clean bathrooms.
Excellent.
It's very important. Thank you.
And that's the park that I grew up in, because that's McDowell Park, which is directly across the street from the house where my mom still lives. I moved in there when I was 4 years old, and I used those bathrooms. So now I'll be able to take my grandson there, and the bathrooms will be clean. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And we move to purchasing. Councillor Burke. It's a tabling.
I hereby table the yearly report on the application of bylaw 2599 entitled Bylaw 2599, readopting bylaw number 2497 concerning contract management for the 2023 year.
Thank you, Councillor Berkeley. You want to?
Yes, I do.
Please.
I forgot, I wanted to review this, but this is a very important document, actually, because it allows us to see in one sort of snapshot of the whole year, the contracts that were awarded by public tender, the contracts that were awarded by mutual agreement, the contracts that were awarded in informal requests for quotations, contracts that were awarded. There's another category, it's coming up. So, you know, we try our very best, and this is the basic bread and butter of municipal government, is to award contracts and to manage, you know, purchasing and goods and services, and also the, you know, the infrastructure that we invest in. And so we have this policy, and we have to table the report on the application of the contract management bylaw every year, and it's actually very informative and shows you all the contracts that have been awarded in the city of Côte Saint-Luc. And that's what we're doing now. We're tabling them all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we go to urban development. Councillor Kujawski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just get to the resolution. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby approves and ratifies the change orders for additional work required under project number C-04-23P for professional services related to road resurfacing in the amount of $36,900 plus applicable taxes. That the described expenses shall be financed from the tech grant. That the treasurer's certificate number TC 24-0042 dated March 1st, 2024 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Kujawski, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
It's for road resurfacing extras, but it's a little bit in, a little bit out. We were under budget here, over budget there, but it basically comes down to not things that were unforeseen, but things that came into play during the professional services phase, like new regulations, like soil, contaminated soil that needs to be hauled away. A little Hydro-Quebec was on site a little bit longer, and credits because we actually found less lead service lines than we expected to find in the project. So they were expecting 46, and I think they only found about half that amount. About half the pipes turned out to be copper. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to B.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, one moment. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby approves and ratifies the change orders for additional work required under project number C-04-23C for contractor services related to road resurfacing in the amount of $279,510.41 plus applicable taxes. The credit in the approximate amount of $730,000 for items removed from the contract, as well as the final credit in the approximate amount of $450,000 received from Pavage Metropolitain Inc.
Moved by Councillor Kujawski, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
No, and it's all part of the tech grant as well. Yes, it seems like a lot, but it's a project that totaled, I think, with tech, $6 million, something like that. Yeah, do a lot of repay as much as we can.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to item C. Councillor Kujawski. Oh,
B. Correct.
I did two for, that was two for.
Okay,
two for
so
A,
now you
one
do
for-
14B.
Yeah, correct.
The electrical.
Yeah, B is Edgemore and Blossom.
Yep.
Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby cancel the public call for tenders number C-18-23C for the reason that the sole bid received was deemed too high. That the City Council hereby cancel the public call for tenders number C-05-24C for the reason that no bids were received. That the council hereby awards a contract for contractor services related to the installation of electrical conduits and wires on Edgemore and Blossom to Vimeo Services Conseil Inc. for the amount of $344,371.14 plus applicable taxes. That furthermore, the city may consider an amount of 10% plus applicable taxes for any potential contingencies and extras if required. That shall first be approved according to the city's procedures, that the described expenses shall be financed from the loan bylaw entitled Bylaw 2605, authorizing a loan of $1,252,000, including professional fees for the purchase and installation of LED streetlights, conduits, and electrical wires for streetlights at various locations in the territory of the city of Côte Saint-Luc. That treasurer certificate number 24-0052 dated March 25th, 2024 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses. That Director of Urban Development is hereby appointed to proceed with the evaluation of Vimeo Service Conseil Inc.'s performance within this tender contract.
Okay, so moved by Councilor Kujawski, seconded by Councilor Sabag. Any discussion?
That's self-explanatory. Conduits and new wires on Blossom and Edgemore.
All in favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to C. Warning of a contract for sidewalk reconstruction.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby declares the bids received from Les Entreprises Ventec Inc. and Montréal Celent Inc. non-conforming. Therefore, these bids are rejected. That the City Council hereby awards a contract for sidewalk repairs to Côte-Lac Inc. in accordance with the terms of the tender number C-07-24 for up to a maximum of $662,950 plus applicable taxes. That from this amount, $40,000 plus applicable taxes shall be allocated for potential repairs of the private portions of sidewalks as needed. That the described expenses shall be financed as follows: $622,950 from loan bylaws 2541, 2604, 2621 from the public portions for the public portions of sidewalks, rather, up to $40,000 from the city's operational budget for the private portions of sidewalks. That the city treasurer has issued treasurer certificate TEC 24-0051 on March 26th, 2024. Attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses. That the Director of Urban Development is hereby appointed to proceed with the evaluation of Côte-Lac Inc.'s performance within this tender contract.
Okay. Moved by Councilor Kujawski, seconded by Councilor Azarad. Any discussion on the sidewalks?
We are building some sidewalks like every year, as many as we can possibly fit it. We're gonna build this for every dollar.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. And Councilor Sabag, stance number 15.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that the council take the following stance in view of any agglomeration council meeting to be held in May 2024 as follows: to authorize the mayor or his duly authorized replacement to make any decisions he deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the agglomeration council meeting to be held in May 2024 based on the information to be presented during those meetings.
Moved by Councilor Sabag, seconded by Councilor Kujawski. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we have some other business, but two other items, but I'm adding two more very quickly as with my, well, first I want to make mention of Ramadan that ends for our Muslim residents this week. Residents and staff will be celebrating Eid and we wish them well. And I also want to mention that my dad is here. It's his 92nd birthday. He came to the meeting. I may have missed the dinner, but I was talking earlier. He missed what I was talking about earlier about that every person is important, whether they're a resident or a non-resident. He used to be a resident, but he's not a resident anymore. But he's very important, and every person is important. We try to welcome them all into our city and to provide services and facilities for them to all to enjoy. And programming. And we like when you come on our Canada Day, and we like when you participate in everything that we do. And a lot of the things that I learned as a child were from my dad, certainly. And I try to emulate that in the way that I work as mayor and try to treat everybody well, irrespective of their background, religion, political beliefs. Everyone in my city is equal, and we have to treat them all with respect and hope that we can make them happy. And when we don't, and we can't please them to the extent that we wish, we feel sad because why we got into this business as elected officials because we want to please everybody. We want all the hockey parents to feel that they have enough hours and that their kids can play not on Shabbat if they observe the Shabbat. And we want them to be able to enjoy the facilities in Côte Saint-Luc. Same for the figure skaters and for the swimmers and the pickleball players and for everybody else. And sometimes they're different desires from different groups and we can't please everyone and that just makes us sad, but we do our best. So we'll continue to do our best. But in honor of my dad, and because I always consider that the 30,000 plus residents of the city of Côte Saint-Luc, I think we're about 35,000, are like my extended family, I'm going to bring you into my family for 3.5 minutes right now, Daryl. 3.5 minutes of my life. The first clip is when I was 1 year old, and this is to honor my dad. So if you want to put that on, we can all relax for 3.5 minutes. I love Andrew.
She said already, I love Andrew. What a beauty, what a handsome young little fellow. Wow. Gorgeous.
Well, of course, doesn't want to see.
Hey, our second grandson, my second grandson.
This is a very special day for us, our second grandson, and named after a dad, Yehuda.
That's good. Thank you very much. Where's the pregnant woman? Where's the baby? Oh, there's the tummy.
Can you miss it?
Look, whoa!
Just keep focusing, you may capture the birth.
Great, it's wonderful. Having a granddaughter after 5 grandsons is beautiful.
Oh, you're welcome to the pool. Here she is at the pool.
Here's Matthew and Marley.
All the skiers. Whoa! Here we are, swimming in the Laurentians, like the good old days. And there he goes. Swimming, his stroke is still good.
Named after 2 Holocaust survivors.
It's going to be a tough one. That's
Very nice.
Wonderful.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable. Right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind. Hang it on a shelf of good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
So happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
dear Dr. Brownstein. Happy birthday to you.
So that's good. So we have two more items and then we'll go in my office, okay? Because we're almost done. So let's go, Councilor Burku. No, you have the,
I announced it.
oh, you announced it. So we have Councilor Azarad. Councilor Azarad, it's yours, eh? There's the one item now? No, she did hers already. She announced it earlier. So we really have one item and that's it, except if we had questions, but those are welcome.
Mr. Mayor, before we, Councillor Azarad
Yes.
begins item 16B, I will be abstaining from the vote for 16B.
I understand. Councilor Azarad.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. On va recommencer. Résolution de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc exhortant les universités et les établissements d'enseignement supérieur à appliquer et à faire respecter les lois existantes et les codes de conduite visant à lutter contre la violence, le harcèlement ou la discrimination qui produisent sur les campus et dans les ensembles de ces établissements. Resolution of the City of Côte Saint-Luc calling upon Quebec universities and institutions of higher learning to apply and enforce existing laws and codes of conduct to address violence, harassment, or discrimination occurring on campuses and throughout these institutions. Whereas students on Canadian university campuses have been engaging in anti-Semitism, spewing hatred, and intimidating those who disagree for many years. Entendu que, depuis de nombreuses années, des étudiants sur les campus universitaires se livrent à l'antisémitisme, propagent la haine et intimident ceux qui ne sont pas d'accord avec eux. Whereas a pro-Hamas riot broke out at Concordia University on November 8, 2023, because Jewish students received permission to set up a table that drew attention to the hostages being held by Hamas. And where a member of the mob and a University of Montreal lecturer shouted at a Jewish student, "Go back to Poland." Whereas on November 9, 2023, during an illegal protest on the steps of the McCall-McCain Arts Building of McGill University, a speaker thanked those who disrupted and intimidated Jewish students at Concordia University a day earlier and stated, "We terrified them." Whereas since October 7, 2023, there has been an unprecedented number of anti-Israel protests on university campuses in Montreal, including McGill and Concordia universities. Whereas recent reporting of these events at the universities include anti-Semitic chants and actions including calls to armed violence, aggression, bullying, violence, and threats of violence targeting Jewish students, physical attacks, interfering with student, faculty, and employees, and employee access to their education and to move freely about the campuses without fear of harm, graffiti on university property that is anti-Semitic, group harassment of Jewish students, university professors acting to promote anti-Israel and/or anti-Semitic positions, elected student union representatives supporting and promoting anti-Jewish rhetoric. Whereas since October 7, 2023, many Jewish students, faculty, and employees have expressed fear and anxiety being on campuses at McGill and Concordia universities and have been hiding religious symbols out of fear of violence. It is abundantly clear from McGill and Concordia's own code of conduct rules that they have a duty to take measures aimed at creating and maintaining an environment free of harassment and discrimination. Les règles du code de conduite de McGill et Concordia indiquent clairement que ces institutions ont le devoir de prendre des mesures visant à créer et à maintenir un environnement exempt de harcèlement et de discrimination. Whereas events have taken place since October 7, 2023, on both McGill and Concordia campuses have called into question these institutions' inaction and dereliction of duty to maintain safety and security according to their own policies as stated above, and evidence the need for systematic improvement for the benefit of all its students, faculties, and employees. Whereas the jurisprudence is pristine and abundantly clear that the universities are legally bound to respect and uphold the Charter of Rights of its students, faculty, and employees. Whereas the failures in abiding in by McGill University policy harassment and discrimination and Concordia University's Code of Rights and Responsibilities include the following: failing to provide proper training or methodologies in dealing with verbal assaults, harassment, bullying matters, and proper education on the issue of anti-Semitism and zero tolerance policies, failing to adequately investigate, discipline, or sanction students and student organizations involved in anti-Semitism, assaults, harassments, and/or bullying on university campuses, failing to take the appropriate steps to denounce and sanction anti-Semitic movements on campuses, including but not limited to any organization for boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, and any organization that promotes the hatred towards Jewish persons, failing to take the appropriate steps to terminate its agreement with student groups for breach of internal policies, regulations, and guidelines relating to dissemination of hate propaganda and hate speech, failing to enforce policies such as wearing masks or covering your face, whereas the universities have failed to act in accordance with the Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms Act and the Civil Code of Quebec, whereas the residents of Côte Saint-Luc are directly impacted by the situation, whereas the population is composed of many academics, scholars, and students of these institutions, they require the most basic of protections that are fundamental to the fabric of our society. Failing to secure the university campuses will cause the inevitable decline of the universities in standing and will prompt an exodus of our youth to pursue their degrees elsewhere, which will have a deep negative impact on our community. This will also serve to limit the diversity of the student body at these universities. Universities must not confuse hate speech for free speech, not treat intimidation and terror as assembly, and not confuse political rights for removing the rights of others to access their right of education free from threat, harassment, or intimidation. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc City Council calls on the leadership of Concordia and McGill universities to act lawfully and comply with their existing policies and procedures and act as per the points set out herein. Provide physical safety and security to all students regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, or other protected group. Dismantle movements or organizations on campuses that promote anti-Israel or anti-Semitic sentiments. Stop funding their respective student unions until the hate literature and paraphernalia are removed from their locations. Take measures against students employing anti-Semitic statements, violence, harassment, intimidation, and/or bullying. Stop anti-Semitism on campus. Restore a proper learning environment that is in line with Quebec education standards in our institutions of higher learning. That council calls on the leadership of Quebec universities to adopt clear policies on dealing with anti-Semitism on campus and ensure that all students are able to fully participate in student life with a threat of intimidation or physical or verbal threat, without threat of intimidation or physical or verbal threats. That council calls on the Quebec Minister of Higher Education to meet with leaders of the Quebec universities and address the issues of anti-Semitism, violence, harassment, and intimidation on campuses. The council directs the city clerk to send copies of this resolution to all members of the National Assembly of Quebec, including the member of the National Assembly of Darcy McGee, to all other municipalities in Montreal metropolitan community, to the member of parliament for Mount Royal, to the Prime Minister of Canada, to the Union des Municipalités du Québec, to the Fédération Québécoise des Municipalités, to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, to the presidents of Concordia, McGill University of Montreal, UQAM, and the members of the Quebec Advisory Board on English Education. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc exhorte la direction des universités Concordia et McGill à agir dans le respect de la loi, à se conformer à leurs politiques, leurs procédures existantes et à agir conformément aux points énoncés dans la présente. Assurer la sécurité physique de tous les étudiants, indépendamment de leur race, de leur religion, de leur appartenance ethnique ou de leur autre groupe protégé. Démanteler les mouvements ou organisations sur les campus qui promouvent des sentiments anti-israéliens ou antisémites. Mettre fin au financement de leurs associations étudiantes respectives jusqu'à ce que la littérature et tout matériel haineux soient retirés de leurs locaux. Prendre mesure envers les étudiants qui tiennent des propos antisémites, qui se livrent à des actes de violence, de harcèlement, d'intimidation, qui provoquent des menaces. Mettre fin à l'antisémitisme sur le campus. Rétablir un environnement d'apprentissage adéquat et conforme aux normes québécoises en matière d'éducation dans nos établissements d'enseignement supérieur. Que le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc demande à la direction des universités québécoises d'adopter des politiques claires pour lutter contre l'antisémitisme sur les campus et de veiller que tous les étudiants puissent participer pleinement à la vie étudiante sans être menacés d'intimidation ou victimes de menaces physiques ou verbales. Que le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc demande à la ministre de l'Éducation supérieure de rencontrer les dirigeants des universités québécoises pour aborder les questions relatives à l'antisémitisme, à la violence, au harcèlement et à l'intimidation sur le campus. Que le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc charge son greffier d'envoyer une copie de la présente résolution à tous les membres de l'Assemblée nationale du Québec, incluant le député de Darcy-McGee, à toutes les autres municipalités de la communauté métropolitaine de Montréal, aux députés de Montréal à la Chambre des communes, au Premier ministre du Canada, à l'Union des municipalités du Québec, à la Fédération québécoise des municipalités, à la Fédération canadienne des municipalités, au président de l'Université Concordia, de l'Université de McGill, de l'Université de Montréal et de l'UQAM, ainsi qu'aux membres de la Commission de l'éducation en langue anglaise.
Moved by Councillor Azarel, seconded by, all approved by, okay. Carried unanimously. Except for one extension, that was, you wanted to explain now or not? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a statement. Due to a conflict of interest, I have chosen to abstain from voting on this resolution. This is not a decision I take lightly, and it pains me to be silent on this issue by giving up my right to vote. What I can say to my constituents and to the Jewish community of Côte Saint-Luc is that as an employee of McGill University, I actively participated in the Provost Office initiative against anti-Semitism in 2022 and continue to be vocal on this topic within the prescribed framework for university personnel. I've also been an advocate for the Jewish community when given the opportunity to comment on the EDI, equity, diversity, and inclusion work being done at McGill. Further to this, I'm a member of the newly formed independent group known as MANA, the Montreal Academic Network Against Anti-Semitism, engaging in discussions with like-minded colleagues from universities and CEGEPs within the Greater Montreal area, as well as with Jewish advocacy organizations such as Federation CJA, CEJA, and B'nai B'rith. I do not want any member of our Jewish community to confuse my abstention for inaction. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that's it. That, and is there any second questions? Are there any questions on the agenda items? Now I'll call for motion for adjournment. So move, seconded by Councillor Kajewski, all in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.